Hi again, everyone. I'm 2 News Chief Meteorologist Brett Anthony. This edition of Weather-Wise, we're going to cover the September El Nino update. Had occasion today to talk with the experts at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration about El Nino, and here's what they had to say about the September update. Well, we know that the waters in the equatorial Pacific continue to warm. Still a strong El Nino. They are still averaging 2 degrees Celsius above average, and this warm water will begin to spread all the way up to the west coast of the United States. That in turn will start to steer the air currents aloft, and that will influence the weather patterns. And one of the weather patterns that we see here in Oklahoma is a wetter flow across the Pacific that comes across the desert southwest, across portions of Oklahoma, and down into Florida. At the same time, that results in some cooler weather. So historically, in the winter, we have cooler and wetter winters in Oklahoma. We'll see how this one sets up. So here's the El Nino update. At this point, it looks like the El Nino has a 95% chance of continuing through the winter before it starts to fade away in early spring. And this one at this point is third strongest. Last month it was second strongest, but here's what happened. The 87 El Nino got stronger, while this one has stayed about the same. So now this one ranks third strongest all time, behind 1987 and 1998, but still a strong El Nino. In October, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, will issue the winter outlook, and we'll have a better feel for how El Nino will influence and impact Oklahoma in the winter. But historically, here's what usually happens. At least the southwestern half of the state has a 40% chance of below average temperatures, while the northeastern part of the state has an equal chance of having either below or above average temperatures. So at least half the state could be cooler than average when it makes it to the wintertime. And when we get to winter in terms of precipitation, well, 2/3 of the state with about a 40% chance to have above average precipitation, and the southwestern part of the state has at least a 50% chance to have above average precipitation. At least that's historically talking. We'll see how things again set up, but for the most part, when you do have these El Nino episodes, just based on the research that they've done and the records that they have, this is how it's usually played out. All right, so again, October will be the update, and they'll have the official winter weather forecast at that time. I'll be issuing our winter weather forecast based on the LRC, their Lezak recurring cycle theory. That'll come out in November. Remember, that cycle starts setting up in October, and that will cycle through the month of October into November, and then that pattern will become established and will begin to repeat. Thanks for checking out this edition of Weather-Wise.